Hi, it's Mark Owen from Moose Marketing PR, the editor of Punchline magazine, and welcome to Punchline Talks, the business breakfast briefers, where I gather a panel of guests from the business community of Gloucestershire to go over the day's newspapers, their own business sector, their own business news, as well as covering the story that's really caught their eye in this week's Punchline. So today's panelists, fantastic. We've got Nicola Bird, the Safety and Business Development Director from KW Bell and founder of AccXel. We've got Steve Gardner Collins, Director of Hatton Court Group, founder of Visit Gloucestershire and President of the Gloucester Chamber of Commerce, and Hayley Parker, Director of Ops Box Group. And we're missing Joe Roberts. I'm going to mention him because he might actually join us. Anyway, welcome guys, welcome to Punchline Talks Business Breakfast Briefers. We get on straight with the show. Stephen, let's start with you, please. What have you got in the national newspapers?
Yeah, morning. So my first, I suppose, national, but quite local at the same time, is the poor guy in Wiltshire whose new chalet that he built in the first lockdown, that went down really well last July and August, has now, unfortunately, by Wiltshire Council, he's been told that he unfortunately can't use it. So he said, with only a few days to go before reopening on Monday, it's just not great for his business. They were really enthusiastic about it last year, and the COVID rules haven't changed by all accounts in terms of socially distanced and in terms of the environment we're operating in hospitality. There hasn't been a major shift in the guidance. So he can't quite see at the moment why it was okay last July and August, and airflow is going to be an issue this year. So yeah, that's my top story for Wiltshire. Won't help their hospitality sector with that lovely pub, but in Gloucestershire we're all set to go. So I think that from Monday I'm really hopeful that for the pubs that do open with the garden and the outdoor dining, that we are COVID secure and we are going to build back better over a certain period of time, no doubt.
Is there another story that's caught your eye at all?
Well, in the national press, I was reading about birds at 4 o'clock this morning, and there's always at the end of January a survey that's carried out. Really great this year. The turnout, with everyone being in lockdown, is that around 78% of those that completed it hadn't done it before. But unfortunately, 16 out of 20 birds in the country haven't returned or haven't been seen yet. So it's been like nearly an 80% drop in the numbers. And I think when it comes to climate change and environment, it was a real key message. I started thinking, well, is there a problem that we're obviously talking about climate change, but is it actually really worse than perhaps COVID's covered it up? But is it a really bad scenario? And are these birds not coming back to the UK because we have had a dramatic increase or decline, or our seasonality seems to be all over the place? Last week we had snow, rain, sun, everything in one day, didn't we? And you think, well, that's going to put me off going back to the UK. Probably put off the tourists coming on holiday if we've got all sorts of weather going on in one day. So I guess the birds are feeling the same, really. Let's delay it a month and come back maybe on May the 17th when hospitality reopens. The birds will all come back.
It's funny you mentioned about birds. My mother-in-law I had COVID, and my mother-in-law bought me a bird feeder, so I could look out the window. My wife put it up and all the rest of it. We were a set of binoculars and I was watching all these birds. Well, actually, the birds didn't turn up, if you want to know.
Just a load of
bird feeder. And,
do it.
Yeah, it was, so there you go. Anyway, so thanks so much for that, Steve. Let's move to you, Nicola. Welcome to Punchline Talks, Business Breakfast Briefers. Nicola, what have you got from the newspapers today, please?
Oh, good morning, Mark. Thanks for having me. Well, a story that is probably on everybody's list, but it's about the cost of the COVID tests for going on holiday. So whilst we're getting the green light for some destinations, and one of those is Greece, thankfully, that's where I've booked a holiday. So I'm hopeful that that's going to stay green. But yeah, so that they're talking about the price of COVID tests. So it's like a family of four, you're going to be talking over £1,000. Depends how desperate you are to get on holiday, I guess.
Do you know what? It doesn't surprise me that all the prices are going up. Surely EasyJet, Ryanair, they can't sustain these low fares. They've mothballed a lot of planes, haven't they? And then you've got the vaccines, and it's just price. Maybe it's going to outprice the general consumer. It used to be like when I was a kid in the 80s, you couldn't afford to go anywhere. We all went to Barry.
Yeah, exactly. That is going to be a cost that people just can't they haven't saved for, surely. And if you've also postponed your holiday from last year and potentially lost the money from last year, then that's going to have an impact. So yeah, that's a bit of kick in the teeth. But then ironically, which is this in the Daily Express, you've got sunbathing cuts your risk of dying from COVID. So we all really have to go on holiday. Catch some sun, because it's going to do us good. So you've got to weigh up the cons and the pros there.
I think we're going to be in for a really fantastic summer this year. That's what I reckon. It's going to be lovely and hot, and all these people go camping and holiday in the UK. That's what I think anyway. That's what I hope for. Thanks ever so much, Nicola. That's great for the start. Hi, Hayley. Good morning.
Morning. Hi.
Right. Okay. What have you picked out for us from today's or yesterday's newspapers that have caught your eye?
Yeah. So one of the stories that that really caught my eye was this story, which is why we find it difficult to keep things simple. And I was like, oh, that's quite interesting. And actually, the whole research which they've done is about actually we overcomplicate things. And they did kind of 3 experiments. And for me, that really resonates with the customers that we work with. And also kind of when you start to look at things and you're saying, okay, let's just strip it back to basics and keep things simple. But it's been proven that actually it's very difficult for humans to keep things simple. And we overcomplicate things and add different things into the way that we do things, even down to building Lego. And actually there was an experiment where people were asked to make this thing balance, and all they had to do was take one piece of Lego off, and instead lots of people added extra things in to make it balance properly. And I found it quite fascinating in terms of, okay, that really resonates with a lot of the businesses that we're working with, that actually issues seem to be quite basic and simple to resolve, but you don't see it because you're too busy clouded with everything else that's going on.
You know what? The thing about that strikes me is that I really miss playing with Lego. I wish I had younger children. When you've got a 30-year-old and a 21-year-old, they don't play Legos with you so much anymore. You have to borrow nieces and nephews and people. Well, have you got anything else there, Hayley? Very interesting, yeah.
No, I think probably just building on what Nicola said, and it's the other way around from a COVID perspective in terms of the mixed messaging. I think it's been in every paper all week, continues to be there. Shall I get vaccinated? Shall I not get vaccinated? Is there a risk? Isn't there a risk? And just the mixed messaging that there is around it. And I'm just hoping it doesn't have any jeopardy in us opening back up properly.
I mean, have you all 3 guys had the jab yet? Because none of you look like you're young enough. You're all young enough.
No, yeah, I've had it. I had AstraZeneca.
Have you? Okay, well, I've had the Pfizer one, and you guys haven't had it. Would you take to the Astra?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, I have no fears of that.
Yeah, you'd still go for it.
Yes.
Yeah, if it enables us to kind of get back to some normality, then absolutely.
Great stuff. Okay, let's go into a different section anyway. Let's talk about our own business sections, and I'll start with you, Steve, if that's okay. Obviously, you've got a hospitality background. The Hatton Court, let's put that hat on, please. The Hatton Court Group that you're the director of, just give us an overview, please, of the Hatton Court Group, first of all. And obviously, the bars are going to open very shortly. Is the company all ready for it?
Yeah, we're pretty much, we got a bit of training to do this morning. We are kind of the 3 properties next week. We are good to go. I've got the Beehive in Montpellier opening on Monday. I've got the Thatch down in Quedgeley opening on Wednesday, and then on Friday the White Hart in Winchcombe. Then everything else is going to kind of wait until the 17th of May or maybe the bank holiday, depending on weather. It's a gamble. The more venues you've got, the more you open. The weather, we don't know. Towards the middle end of next week, the weather just changes again. Maybe not so much for the good. But we can't risk opening everything and then having bad weather. So we're just going to stagger it. We didn't close Somerset. Jersey's opened a lot sooner. So our experience, which has been great, has come from being open there several weeks early. So we've always been able to reopen Gloucestershire more sensitively to the situation, because we've learned from the experiences of what Jersey's gone through. So yeah, we are pretty much good to go next week with the first 3 properties opening, and with a bit of training today, waking everybody back up. Since Christmas, Boxing Day, we've all been furloughed again, so we've got to get used to going back to work, and we're going back with the mindset that we are hopefully going to be incredibly busy, because as we've all alluded to, staycation probably is the way forward this year. I know that our Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Fridays and Saturdays are already occupancy wise really busy, so we're certainly looking for 4 out of 7 days to be great, and that seems to be echoed around the industry at the moment on those existing shoulder nights, Sunday, Monday, Thursday, ever being the weakest 3 days of the week again. So everything to look forward to. And then, yeah, what's great for the county is Stroud got its best place to live. And then this week we got Gloucester Services as the best services. So we've got plenty of experiences in the county, great places to visit, great facilities for people to stop off on. And yeah, the two combined is great for our business. The better everybody can be, the more PR we get as a county, the better it is for our recovery and our marketing. Anything's great, just talk about it. I don't want dead bodies in suitcases, but in an ideal world, great services, great places to visit is all the right messaging at the minute.
It all sounds very positive, but is it going to be hard to retrain the staff? You know, do they need a bit of a wind up? You know, they've been furloughed a long time. They haven't worked for a long time. Is that difficult, or just really geared up, ready to rock and roll?
Yeah, I mean, I've done a few of these, and I've been interviewed a lot lately, and yeah, sometimes you can get quite down with the situation. Hospitality tourism, it has been hit hard. But I really do think, you know, poor Wiltshire with their pub, God help them if they can't open, because that's a lot of people that are going to fall victim to that. But I think that we do have to kind of I'm hoping to go into the 9 o'clock meeting today with all of our staff, re-energize them. It's unfortunately all online, so we're still following the guidance, but we've got to come back really positive. We want guests to have great experience. We've got to have smiles on our faces. That is what hospitality is all about: experience and smile and good service. And I, as a director and as a motivator, I've got to be seen to be, we can do this, we can get through it. I really want the sector to survive and thrive again. And I think next week, if we can just get through the bad weather, then it would be great that April's good, work towards the 17th of May. And then in an ideal world, kind of relax. I think we would all love to have a holiday here, but more relaxed through July and August with warmer weather. So if we can build up to that, then I think we've got a momentum of a great summer holidays, which is what we could all do with a bit of positivity.
Well, that sounds fantastic, Steve, and wish you all the very, very best for that, for you and your crew. Yes. And I hope to be back there at the Hatton Court and the Bumblebee very, very shortly.
Yeah,
sorry, the
we just promote everybody. I'm okay. I don't mind.
We like the Beehive. We like the Bumblebee. We like all those pubs as well.
We like them all. Just them all. They've all got gardens. They'll all be open.
The one closest to me is the Avenue. Actually, is the pub I go to on Bristol Road. I'm really looking forward to having a pint back in the back garden there. Okay, thanks ever so much, Steve. So, Nicola, I'm going to move on to you now. Thanks ever so much. Okay. Obviously, you're a director of KW Bell. Can you tell us a little bit about the company? How big is KW Bell? How many people work there? What's the turnover? Just a bit more detail, please, Nicola.
Yeah, sure. So KW Bell is in the third generation of family business. It has a 75 million turnover, and we employ circa 450 employees.
Wow, and so you're the safety and business development officer, so that must be, you must be zooming, or has the site closed down at all, and just been as busy as ever?
We've been really lucky in construction when we look at some of the other industries. And whilst we had experience of shutting the doors last March, we reopened quite quickly after that. And to be honest, our industry has just gone from strength to strength. It feels like we're living in some sort of parallel universe, to be honest, when we're reading all the newspapers and seeing what else is going on out there. Our industry is booming, and we cannot build houses quick enough. So we have a contracting arm and we have a house building arm, and our house sales have rocketed. We've got people scrambling for houses, and our prices have reflected that as well. So we've had a very, very fantastic year, our best year ever in the house building sector, and we've kept people in employment through the contracting arm, as well as continuing to re-employ all the time.
And there's a piece here in today's Sun newspaper as well, a little nib on the side here. It says the UK's construction industry has grown at its fastest monthly rate in more than 6 years as house builders soared in March and paused projects were restarted. Yeah, all great news. I'm going to try and share the screen here. And we've got this short video from you guys. So this is the new AccXel Centre. Let me just press that as well. Looks fab. What is it?
What is it? It is a construction skills accelerator centre, right in the heart of the Forest of Dean, opposite our head office in Cinderford. And we've been very, very lucky in the fact that we've been given 1.96 million from government through the GFIRST LEP. And we're also investing £1 million of our own money to build this centre, essentially a centre of excellence for construction, facilitating education from MVQ level 1 to postgraduate degree.
I mean, it looks absolutely fantastic. I've been to Cinderford.
Yeah, so this is a bit of a photo album.
Yeah. Sorry about that. And of course, it's moving a lot there. This is where you're kind of at now, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. This is the latest photo on there. The last one on there was taken about 2 weeks ago, and we're going at quite a pace. So all the steel frame is finished. We've got part of the roof on. We've got the floors in. So it's going really well where the build's concerned.
How many guys actually work on the site at the moment, and when is the build ready to finish?
There's probably about 30 guys working on there at the moment, lots of different trades, and it will be finished at the end of November this year.
Now, I know the site really well because I've been delivering punchlines to Cinderford, well, for 9 years actually. And do you know, because you guys are kind of tucked away on the side over here, we didn't know this road was here. So for the first 7 years, we used to go around, because a lot of people don't realise that road there is a little cul-de-sac, isn't it? And there's around 5 or 6 different businesses down this side as well.
Yeah, it's quite an epicenter for employment down there. That luckily, so you can see on that photo there, it's just off the main road. So there's on that main road, which you can see the little blue car going down. That's the main road going through the Cinderford town, and there's bus services, and there's a lot of students that walk to the college from there. So it's a really nice sort of footfall that we can get coming into the college, so for students and different learners alike.
And it's a shame that you mentioned the Gloucester College, because it would be great to have Joe Roberts on, because those guys from Roberts Lindbrook designed it. But there you go. Anyway, so I'm just going to say there's your headquarters here, but down here is this cul-de-sac that goes along there and around there, and there's quite a lot of businesses there. And I love that trading estates, but then I love all trading estates. I'm a bit weird like that, I think, just got grown to love it. Anyway, thanks ever so much, Nicola. Thanks ever so much for filling us in there. It does look brilliant. I think it's something the county really needs. And also, it's great that GFIRST LEP have really backed it, haven't they? They've really chucked a bit of money in it as well. So yeah. Great stuff. Thank you for that. I'm going to turn our attention now to Hayley. Thanks, Hayley. I'm going to bring you up here on the big screen. Thanks, Hayley. Hayley, Ops Box. My goodness, It's over a year now. You launched your company with Richard at the start of a global pandemic, and you seem to be everywhere.
Well, I don't know about that. I think we almost planning for starting a business at the start of lockdown was definitely not on the agenda. But it's been really good, and it's been great to be kind of really get involved in the local kind of county and supporting businesses more locally as well. And it feels like we're going from strength to strength. So I've got a whole day ahead of me of interviewing, because we're bringing in a new manager into the team. So it's just a constant juggle at the moment. So we just need to get the team up and going, to get, to have some more support. And lending is also starting to really take off as well. So businesses needing to look for funding outside of high street banks. And that's going to become, I think, more and more of a priority this year as credit policies, etc. change. So we're really excited about the next year and what that might look like.
What's the biggest thing that you've learned from starting a business?
I think probably everybody will say this, but it is about perseverance, and you've just got to keep going. And I think every single business throughout lockdown will say exactly the same thing. And we always work on kind of 3 scenarios if we're working with a business, and we do that ourselves. So we kind of practice what you preach, I think, is a big part of it as well. And just perseverance, keep going, have a sounding board if you need a sounding board. Use people around you to support that are available to support you. and people want to see businesses succeed, and that's our own as well as businesses that we work with. People genuinely want to see local businesses do well.
Is there something that, if you had your time again, is there something that you would have changed?
Probably getting support in sooner. And I think that's, it's that chicken and egg, isn't it, in terms of, do you want to commit to bringing people in and the stress that potentially goes with that? But actually, as a result of not doing that, it can slow things down. So I think kind of lessons learned probably is bring support in sooner rather than later.
Now you've got a partner with Richard, a business partner with Richard. How's that work? Because obviously, normally you start a business together, you'll be there in the same room, you'll be bouncing ideas off. This is a completely different scenario. You're Zooming all the time. Has that, obviously you've done very well, but has that been difficult as well?
Yes, I guess it has. We started, at the kitchen table, I suppose, and we kind of said when we get our offices, hopefully within the next few months, we're going to have a room that we call the kitchen table, because that's kind of where it all ended up starting. And we're used to being with people, so we've had to change our approach, and everything we do has been online. But it's been the same with us. So we'd be used to sitting down and kind of working through stuff, and actually you're in this type of environment, and that has been quite interesting. I mean, I'm fortunate enough that in my past I've worked remotely, I've worked in a face-to-face environment, but it is different. It is really different, and there are massive benefits to it. But you can't be being face-to-face with people. I understand a bit more by being in that business. Yes, this is great. Yes, we can catch up. Yes, it keeps businesses that we're working with having access to us. But you just learn so much from being there and seeing, and you can't. For me, that's always going to be my number one choice, I think.
So do you think that most businesses would go back to the office then, or will they carry on working remotely? There's lots of stories about the big banks, NatWest, Lloyds, very well documented, that they've said to their staff, look, hey guys, you don't have to come back to the office. Real flexible working now. Do you think that's a bad idea, or where would you stand on that?
I think it's about the best of both, because there are absolute advantages with being, taking the travel out, both for the environment, but also from a productivity perspective. But I think it's going to have to be about choice. And I'm hoping that more businesses will go to output measures rather than input measures, because actually it shouldn't matter how much time you're spending on things and where you are, if you're achieving what the expectations of you are within your role. Now, some people work better in a face-to-face environment in an office, others are more productive at home. And I don't think this is the right way. I think it's a combination of the two, and businesses are going to have to juggle and really work through what's right for their staff and what's right for their business. I don't think there's a one fit answer for this.
I think, let's be honest about it, when we first started, we never envisaged it would be a whole year of a lockdown and they'd all be sitting there, and also maybe in the recruitment process, it might be in the future you'll be, if you solely work from home and your company ethos is to work from home, you might recruit differently. You might just recruit people who are very comfortable at working from home.
Yeah, and even your recruitment process is different. So actually, we're doing online interviews today. So we've got a whole day on Teams, which will be exhausting in itself. But actually, having worked internationally, that is the kind of process when you're recruiting. It is often online interviews. So I think for some people, the way that they're being asked to do things or have had to do things is so very different to what they've experienced before. The amount of change that people have gone through on an individual level, as well as from a business perspective, is astronomical in a number of sectors. And I don't think we can underestimate that. And the key, I think, of taking the benefits of what we've seen is about being really clear on what you want the output to be. So if there will be things that are more productive doing online, there will be things that are more productive being face-to-face. And as a business, you need to work through what that looks like and decide on what you want your operating model to be. And then it's about making sure you leverage what you've been doing during lockdown to keep it real within the business.
Well, there's a nice part to stop there. Thanks ever so much, Hayley. But let's talk very quickly about Punchline. That's okay. If you guys have all picked out a story that's caught your eye. Let's start with you, Nicola, actually, if that's okay. And then go to Steve and back over to Hayley. So, Nicola, what have you picked out from Punchline Talks? Thanks, Hayley.
Quickly, it was the Levelling Up Fund that's available for the Forest of Dean. Again, talking about the grant that I had available for AccXel, I would love to tell people within the Forest of Dean that some things like this look really scary until you've done them. So I'm in a mission to like put it out there to people in the Forest of Dean, if they have ideas, because they're the closest to it, they know what needs to come into our region. So if they have some ideas, I'd be more than happy to help them out and talk about my experience, because I had no experience in putting bids together before I got the funding for the Getting Building Fund. So I think it's really exciting that we've got this money available for our region. I just hope people come forward and they get put off because of the bureaucracy or the fear of this is a really difficult task and I'm not up for it. So yeah, I think people should just put their ideas forward and see where they get.
And of course, you guys were in Punchline yesterday as well, another follow-on story from the AccXel as well. Nicola, there are so many fantastic businesses in the Forest. So many, because we travel around all over the areas, as you know, to all the different business parts. A lot of people just don't realise the sheer depth and breadth of fantastic companies there in the Forest. So I totally agree. If they could get some of that funding and move their business forward, it always looks so daunting, doesn't it? To start off with. Some people are really good at it, some people aren't. Maybe they need to hire people like Hayley here, don't know. Anyway, let's go, and thanks ever so much, Nicola. Steve, what have you picked out from Punchline this week, please?
I had a look at the 286 acre. I lost it just as you went to me. Yeah, I mean, what an incredibly huge site, and that just started the conversation today on climate and environment. And it was interesting that, you know, here in the county, that's a huge project, isn't it? That's set to kind of reshape the landscape. Putting on my kind of green hat, we look at being a rural destination and countryside living, and the kind of concept of Nicola talking about house building and what's your outlook going to be. That's an incredibly big site for green energy. And actually, is that the view that people want? And is it the view that people want to see when they come to visit the county as well? So I was actually looking at the plans and the landscape of the effect of that site. And I can only imagine many more to come. As you drive down the M5, as you go south, you do start to see a lot more of the solar panel kind of landscape. Is it going to become a bit more of a new norm as we need it? But certainly that's correct me if I'm wrong, but that appears to be one of the biggest sites announced to date in terms of coverage on green energy.
It's a massive site. What I don't understand is why we're not building more solar panels on top of houses and warehouses. Surely the government should say all the houses or warehouses, new builds, should be pointing a certain direction, so they all, you know, are more, I was going to say sun friendly, but get more energy. Not sun friendly, that's that. Hayley, what have you got from Punchline this week?
It was the Zero Aviva, the Kemble Airport, where they're developing the electric aeroplane. I was so fascinated by it. We kind of all seem to be going down the kind of eco route, but I think the headlines this week really, for me, are showing the amount of investment and development that's going on within the county, and I think it's absolutely great. But this in particular caught my eye because I just think it's amazing that we're developing planes that are going to be eco-friendly and net zero. I just find it fascinating that we're moving into that environment, that we're able to do that. And we have already done it for kind of 500-mile flights. Yeah, I find it amazing that we're doing that. And they've chosen Kemble to do it in, you know, what a great thing for Gloucestershire.
It's a fantastic thing for Gloucestershire, and I know for a fact that G1st LEP worked really hard to help out there as well and get some of the funding, as well as the MPs. There was a lot of work going behind the scenes. You're dead right. It's a first in the UK. The story that really caught my eye this week was a getaway van that crashed into a police car after a Gloucester warehouse raid. I don't know if you saw that. Some chap tried to get away with £50,000 worth stuff from Quedgeley Business Park, Waterwells Business Park. Thankfully, the police managed to catch him. But it goes to show that a lot of people are in different business areas than we are. Anyway, that's all for today. Thanks ever so much for joining Punchline Talks, and we'll see you all very soon. Bye.
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 That's it, guys. Have I stopped it? I think I stopped it.
Yeah, it still says recording.